So hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. If you're visiting again, please comment and share our content. Today we're going to be talking about Formula One versus Nascar. So a little introduction about both. I'm going to start with Formula One. Formula One is the most elite racing organization in the world. And we say elite because the formula in the one are indicator that they use a formula to make their cars. So in Formula One, they follow a specific order of rules for their cars to be able to race in the competition. Basically, it has evolved since the 1950s, and they've changed rules about how the car is manufactured. So one of the interesting things about Formula One is that they use front fins to be able to ground the car to the ground so that it doesn't take off, because the car moves so fast, and it's highly engineered to move fast. So if you look at Formula One, how they race, when someone tries to overtake, the airflow that keeps the car down, the downward forces caused by the air and the fins, it causes a lot of turbulence at the back of the car, and cars following the car in front find it very hard to maneuver or overtake. So Formula One is very sophisticated because they use very strict rules on things like fuel efficiency, the number of tires you can use, how much the quality of the tire, the quality of the track, how the car is built. So another interesting thing you need to know, it's a purely skill-based race in terms of driving. Formula One vehicles don't have much assist in terms of computer sensors that assist or aid in driving. There's no technology that they use that aids in steering. There's no technology they use that can make the work of the driver easier to drive. It's quite a manual vehicle, although modern F1 cars have sensors that monitor things like fuel, things like if the tire is out of air. But that kind of monitor only happens in the aspect of, it's like the senses of the car, but doesn't make the car easier to drive. So Formula One is more also it's an organization. So they started they started just as a race between brands, and it was like a way of like standardizing how a car should race. So in the near future, they started to think about monetization. And before they started thinking about monetization, there was a vehicle that was promoting a cigarette company. So through that promotion, that was the first advertisement on the vehicle. So a few people saw that Formula One was growing in the 1980s, 1990s, and decided to monetize off of Formula One because it was becoming more popular. So they partnered with TV rights, they partnered with advertisers, and that's how Formula One took off. Another interesting thing about Formula One, it's probably the most expensive uh, race team in the world, because an average team, let's say Mercedes-Benz, Ferrari, all these big brands, McLaren, they spend up to almost 300 $400 million every year just to participate in the race. That means manufacturing of the car, paying the team, the team who is involved in the pit stop, the manufacturing of the car. It's like for $400 million a year. That's a whole, probably thousands of people involved in building that vehicle. And you look at the restrictions they put. It's so crazy because the car is very advanced. A Formula One vehicle is the most advanced race car in the world, and it's because of the restrictions they put. So, sorry, if you go now to NASCAR, NASCAR is a stock racing type of, it originated from stock racing. Stock racing means manufacturers of vehicles just use normal vehicles. Like, let's say at that time in the 1940s, when they were racing, they just used normal vehicles. That was in the US. NASCAR, they used normal vehicles to race. They didn't have specialized rules or regulations on how to build the vehicle. But today, NASCAR is more geared towards using vehicles meant for racing. So NASCAR is a company on its own. It's a privately owned company and organization, and it started in Florida. And that time it started when, individuals who had vehicles just came together and wanted to race, and they had small winnings like $3,000 for the winner and things like that. But NASCAR is not very, very specialized as much as Formula One is. They don't have, Formula One has a very small capacity compared to the output of power. So we find that Formula One is like a 1.5-liter engine, and a NASCAR is a bigger engine consuming more fuel. So the impressive thing about NASCAR is that it's only in America. Okay, I don't know, from what I know, NASCAR is only in America, and Formula One is international. And Formula One was recently purchased by another company, for $8 billion. And as you can see, Formula One is really, really popular. And I think the biggest sell for Formula One is usually the television rights. But Formula One is very, very sophisticated, way more sophisticated in terms of engineering than NASCAR. So NASCAR, they still use stock car branding, and it was really geared to race. NASCAR was more geared to race around a fixed circuit, a short circuit, like 2, 3, 4 miles of circuit, and then they would have to go race many times. And Formula One was geared more, when they started Formula One, would use an open track. That means a normal road that was during racing they would use it for racing, but during normal times it would be used for normal road usage. Or they would use, in Formula One, they'd also use a specialized track built for the Formula One car that has many corners and turns. So Formula One basically tests the limit of racing to an individual, like how good is an individual during racing. But NASCAR is more of, I would say NASCAR is more of stock car, like going laps to see who will win. Formula One is more of engineering, NASCAR is more of endurance. But both are endurance, but NASCAR is less of, that precision engine making and using aerodynamics and all those things. NASCAR is more of representing brands. So maybe Josh, you can have something to say.
You know what I noticed about NASCAR is more, when you say Formula One is more about, the engineering is set in such a way that only companies like Mercedes can afford that kind of engineering. But with NASCAR, how it came to, to its model is more of NASCARs are made in such a way, even if you have your home garage, you can try to make your own NASCAR.
Yeah,
it's more of a,
yeah,
it's more of a, like, it has been made in such a way that anyone can access that sport. It doesn't mean that you can race in the NASCAR, but the engineering from the cars, because they were showing studies that the people who are heavily admirers of NASCARs are the old generation, because they used to, when NASCARs were being, the brand was coming up, they used to tune their own cars, also try and race on the street. So NASCAR has technology also, because even the way the car is made, it's made that the air can put the car down, how the air intake is, the radiator, but it's made in such a way that the technology is achievable for common person.
It's achievable.
But Formula One, it's made,
Formula One,
it's a futuristic,
it's not achievable.
you need like a company like Mercedes, and you can also see the funding, because the funding of a NASCAR is let's say $15 million, sometimes 30, but you see,
Formula One, it's almost even $500 million every year. That's every year. And if you look at Formula One, they use materials like carbon fiber. They use even the engine. The Formula One engine is very small. The engine capacity is very small. And it's a very sophisticated. It's like an aeroplane combined with a car combined with a boat. It has so many engineering principles that an individual cannot manufacture a vehicle like that and be able to afford to race it.
And the Formula One is the Nascars are made from stock vehicles like Mustang, Camaro. So if I buy my Camaro, and Americans have this thing of doing things by themselves and trying to upgrade. If I buy my Camaro, I can at my garage, if I can buy
I
parts
can buy parts,
and upgrade it to be
and upgrade,
but for if you're doing for Formula One, you can't do that, because you find even most of the technology that Formula One is using is patent. It's very futuristic, very costly. Although I was seeing that NASCAR has been losing a lot of its support base over the years, because
actually NASCAR gets a lot of criticism.
It's not aiming to go globally, and that explains why all of a sudden these that move to promote Formula One, because Formula One was sold to a company, and the company now decided to promote the sport globally. That's you see even where we are, people are now starting to watch Formula One.
To follow up on NASCAR,
Formula One.
Formula One.
But NASCAR has been centralized so much in America, and and they were showing that the old generation is the one that was attached to the sport, and you know that the fact that the old generation is attached to the sport, they are not doing enough to recruit uh, new people to the sport. But and another thing, the NASCAR, like the way American is done, all these franchises are owned by families. So if a family controls a sport for too long, you can find there's some kind of stagnation, because there are no fresh fresh ideas. Because you see, with when Formula One was bought by this international company, it's when new ideas came. They decided, let's take this brand to become like football, to be international. Let's make even people who don't have money feel they can watch, because Formula One was considered like golf.
And if you think about how Formula One they operate, even the rules they have, they keep modifying them. The rules don't stay the same. Throughout the years and years and years. Formula One started as if you think about the evolution of the technology, they started with vehicles that had thin tires, and then they moved to adding fins. They moved to adding technology to make the car faster. In the when technology evolved, they moved to putting sensors in the vehicles. They removed the sensors because the sensors would make would it's like driving an automatic car that's accelerating for you, doing everything for you. So they said, no, we can't put all this technology into a vehicle that is assisting the driver to drive. We have to test the ability of the driver to drive the car.
To drive,
So and the Formula One is constantly pushing the limits to what a car can do. A four-wheel. And if you look at most sports cars are inspired by Formula One, like McLaren, Ferrari, Lamborghini, because of the aerodynamics and everything. And the way the Formula One they think, they just think about engineering. It's all about engineering and beating the engineer with it's like being given a very small like a small wiggle room to operate a vehicle.
And even when
then you find people are making insane machines.
And you can even see the technology movement difference between European and Americans. Americans like muscle, strong, powerful cars. So you can see why they are very concentrated in building the NASCARs. They are very strong, hardcore cars. But dirty.
They consume a lot.
They look brush. They look like jungle-like. And the European are considered with the sleek. The technology is more sleek.
Using
redefined.
Less, it's giving out more.
It's like it's like they are continuing the culture of guys like Leonardo da Vinci, Mario Angelo, making something sleek, smart. How
sleek,
those even the paintings, even if you look at the castles, the drawings, those guys used to do perfect. There's some kind of perfection the way the Europeans do their things.
And if you think about Europe is more advanced than America, but if you think about there's a something you're reading, as I was saying, in Europe, you'd find a saloon car is like a small car is using diesel, and it's very fast because diesel is cheaper. And in America, you'd find that they don't have small diesel cars because of the politics and all those things. Because they were wondering why is it in Europe they have a small car that's diesel that can move very quickly, and in America, because of politics, you can't have a small diesel car. We have to have a petrol because petrol is more expensive. So these are the things that you find the differences between something like NASCAR and Formula One.
And
you might find that NASCAR has a lot of politics and
it
Formula One
has
has less politics.
and it has, because that's what I'm telling you. When you look at how American companies are controlled, they are controlled through families. You know, America is one country that you know, if you have an idea, you can make that idea to be a family line. You know, if football was in America, you know, if soccer, let's say soccer, which some other people might call football, was in America, it will be controlled by a family. It won't be. You understand? You know, Americans have this. You know, it's my idea. I benefit some currency from the idea. You know, it's not, because if you look at the European football, soccer, FIFA, it's more of an organization. It's not owned by, you know, by
it's
anyone.
not owned by a single individual.
But if you go to American sports, you go to the basketball, you know, you go to the
it's their
NFL,
family. They're
NASCAR.
owned by individuals.
Yeah, they're owned by families, and you know, and you can see that with that technology difference also of Americans and European, you can see that even now Europe is the one that's accelerating even the movement from fossil fuel to clean energy. Europe is the one that's spearheading more than America. So it shows Europeans
more than America,
are more interested in technological change, or more open in how, you know, they're always
I think Europeans are more open to progress because most of the organizations are not owned by individuals. You know, if you look at the European Union, it's not one country that controls the European Union. The European Union is
a lot of people
all countries
coming,
involved equally. There's no country that's bigger than the other, I believe, in the European Union. But if you look at America, it's just America. You know, it's us, it's me.
Even the politics of America, if you look, they're controlled by families and all these so-called deep state and all these people that have been there. So you find that even for progress, you know, you remember when you were reading an article saying that the reason why Europe has, you know, has bullet trains, China, Japan, and America has no bullet trains, is because Rockefeller and Henry Ford had a deal that because one was manufacturing cars and
oil.
And one was doing oil, they decided that they should tarmac the whole of America so that Ford can sell more cars and Rockefeller can sell more.
Rockefeller can sell more oil.
So these are the
and
politics.
In Europe, it's all trains. It's all politics.
So you find that Europe there's politics, but you find that American politics are way more in, you know, because everywhere there's politics, but you find that America politics are very entrenched into even how people are thinking. That's why you find even things like gun control. It's hard for people to change their mindset because the politics they are so deep.
And you know, the way they are liberal, you know, Americans know that they have the best country in the world because it's the superior country in the world at the moment. So that gets into them, and it's hard to tell them or change what an individual, you know, even they're very liberal about their own individualism. You know, if someone wants to believe in something, you can't come and tell them no or that's wrong. So it's up to the state to decide if someone is wrong, if someone has committed a crime or something. So I think their culture as Americans, it puts them very in a place where they don't put themselves in positions where they need someone else.
And also, just to add there, you know, even if you look at American sports, let's say NASCAR and Formula One. Formula One now is transitioning from not an European sport anymore. You know, they have the Dubai Grand Prix. Sometimes they go to Malaysia, you know, Japan. But if you look at American sport, they are focused on patriotism. You know, NASCAR is an American. You know, it's more you know, you feel
just
it
to be American.
You feel it from the heart. You know, it's you know, it's our sport.
It's nowhere in the world. There's nowhere else that has this. It's only in America.
But if you look at
and if you look at
the Formula One, it's trying to bring everyone. You know, even if you're from Kenya, everywhere you can.
And Formula One is also moving to electric vehicles, fully electric
vehicle
cars that race, as fast and as efficient. So they're always pushing the limit of technology. But you see, NASCAR is the same stock car from you know, Toyota, Dodge, all those cars, and like you said, you can fix up a similar car in your house, and you can race. You told me it was 200,000 to race as an individual in the NASCAR. So I think.
And I have no issue with NASCAR. I have no issue with NASCAR following that path.
It's actually cool. It's actually
but I think they should like try and reevaluate their strategy again if they want to compete. In the new world, they should try to think of
but even if they how Americans are and everything, even if they bring it to another country, they'll be in full control. It will be like it's their brand, it's their baby, so they can't give it to you and say you can do whatever you want. And if you look at the Americans, it's may think it's a cool thing that you can race in NASCAR, but you can't race in Formula One. Formula One, you have to be a very, very skilled, high-level, experienced driver to be able to. But in NASCAR, as long as you can drive a car, you can race.
No. I also think Formula One is this. NASCAR is the same. It's not everyone that you can race. Even the people who just race for are there for. Because I was seeing a race recently of a 19-year-old kid who was racing, but he didn't make it because drivers in NASCAR, even Formula, I think, because driving is not like football, you can retire that easily because you're not using physical strength, you're using mental. Drivers are 43, 45 years old. So if you're 19 and racing against a 45-year-old person, because also, that guy has been racing for almost 30 years. He has experience. He knows how to overtake. He knows how to control the car. So even NASCAR is technical. It's just that I feel that how these two people are approaching. If you look at, for example, if you look at Formula One comes up with the technology, and then after some years, you find that technology if it's Mercedes, you find that technology in stock Mercedes, the Mercedes that they sell to the population. So they come up with the technology for Formula One, and then after some years, they start manufacturing it mass production into their sellable cars. But if you come to NASCAR, I don't know if that's the same, but I feel like NASCAR, to them, it's hard for them. They're not breaking technological barrier that much as compared to NASCAR. And the fact that they've limited this sport to a family, it's more of it's hard for you to come outside with new ideas. You just have to follow that system. Although there are now talks of trying to sell the NASCAR brand to do how Formula One is doing, because they're not making that much enough.
That much money.
They need fresh ideas and fresh way of thinking, because it's also a very cool sport if you watch it. And if it sticks for too long, we are just saying now the African saying that says, if a cow, an African saying that say, if a cow is in a shed for so long, another cow won't come and sleep there. So it's the same kind of mindset. These guys have been there for too long. We need a kind of change to bring new ideas. Probably, guys will make now Formula One, NASCAR to be international, not just to be, an American thing, because at the rate that Formula One is going to, it's everywhere. Because now you can see that even where we are now, even people even planning to go abroad to watch this. It has become like, and I've noticed something with
it's even affordable. It's even affordable for a normal person to even buy a season ticket. Even we saw, even you can buy a ticket inside the pit stop, and you can see how the car comes and refills and how the car is replaced tires. And the ticket wasn't as expensive as you'd think.
And also Formula One has been made for the most elitist people, because the people who drive Formula One live in Monaco, in Dubai. So,
but
it's a high society sport
per year.
It's
400 million every year on a vehicle. It's just one vehicle or two vehicles. And in fact, I forgot to mention in Formula One, one of the rules are you must race two cars for your brand. So you must have two drivers driving two cars. And
I think Mercedes has that also. I think Lewis Hamilton, I don't know the other guy, but also
for all teams, you have to have two cars.
And that's why you see there's a big issue with a person like Lewis Hamilton, because Lewis Hamilton didn't come from a family with money. He came from a poor background, and now he's one of the best drivers in Formula One. And his main competitor, Van Verstappen, if you look at him, his dad was a Formula One driver. His dad lives in Monaco. So Verstappen grew up
the second
in Monaco.
generation.
But now there's this beef that Lewis Hamilton is the most dominant because he wins all the races. Because if you look at his background, he's more hungry.
But actually,
now
Lewis Hamilton.
Now there's this tension between a guy who was born in Monaco and a guy who didn't have nothing. Also the media try to create some kind of beef. But if you look at the two backgrounds, you
Yeah.
can see that Lewis Hamilton is like, he doesn't, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve, but I'm saying like the normal structure of Formula One, he came from,
Yeah.
he's an outsider, because most One people are like second generation rich people. They've been
Mm.
born in
Mm.
wealth, so, Lewis Hamilton just came from the outside, and now he's dominating the sport. That's why you see that even I'd say the originals, the people who are in Formula One, sometimes they don't feel like even him, he says, if you see how he talks about racism and all this stuff, it's like he
Mm.
still has to do a lot to fit in,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
especially as a black
yeah.
person also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and they don't like that.
yeah,
But the thing I like about both organizations is
yeah,
that they put the meaning of organization to its use.
yeah.
They are very well organized. If you look at how they operate, how they do handle safety,
Mm-hmm,
how they make their policies. Because I think it was twice that in the 2000s that Formula One lost two drivers in two different years,
mm-hmm,
and those two, one was I think in the 2020 in the 2006s,
mm-hmm.
and the other one was in 2014. And they changed their policies so that they can never experience
Yeah.
a death in the race. And if you look at the organization, I think the reason why it's so valuable, both organizations, is because of the way they operate, their policies,
Mm-hmm,
how their rules and regulations, all those things. They really take everything seriously. Because these two organizations, Formula One and NASCAR, they are just for racing. The organizations
mm-hmm,
for racing, but their worth is in the billions.
mm-hmm.
And
It's a whole
it's
industry.
not because of the cars. It's not because of the cars, they're expensive or anything. It's
Mm-hmm,
because of how they're organized. It's because of how they make their rules and how they implement their rules. They
mm-hmm,
always follow the rules. They make everything strict. You can't just do whatever you want.
mm-hmm,
And I think for us, Kenya, in Kenya, you find that we don't do things, we can say, let's make these rules A, B, C, D, but you don't really follow
mm-hmm,
through. If you look at the rally, it doesn't have a lot of, Kenyans and Africans, because probably amongst ourselves, we can't follow the discipline of maintaining and
mm-hmm,
building a vehicle as much as people from, Europe and other countries, developed countries or industrialized countries are organized. I think the success of those two companies is how they're coordinating their resources, and how they're coordinating how things will operate. Because racing is not a simple thing. It's
Actually,
it's a
also,
very
you're right,
complicated.
because
Yeah,
you're right, because leadership is everything. Even if you have the money and
yeah,
there's no leadership, it won't
yeah.
work.
And it won't work, because especially Formula One is really impressive, because how they even manage to put rules that you
Mm-hmm,
can engineer a car to its limit, but you can't break these rules, and people follow. And
mm-hmm,
I think naturally, as human beings, we just like following a system that works. I think
mm-hmm,
as human beings, we don't like chaos, because if you look at Formula One, it's the precision at its best. You can imagine
mm-hmm,
if people were coming late to work. You can
mm-hmm,
imagine if people weren't qualified to build that car.
mm-hmm,
You know, probably people would have been dying all the time. Even it wouldn't have never worked, Formula
mm-hmm,
One.
mm-hmm,
But the fact that those guys are trying to show us that it takes good leadership to build a real organization,
mm-hmm,
and always follow the rules. Even if you made the rules, just follow the rules.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
for me, I think like even if when you look at uh, these two industry, you can realize that they found a niche, and there is no that
mm, mm,
because even if you look apart from Formula One and NASCAR, I think there are like
yeah,
10 types of racing. I don't know if you,
yeah,
yeah, like it's
yeah,
just that we are focusing on NASCAR, and but there's even electric, there's even now
yeah.
stock
There's
racing of Porsches and Aston
yeah,
Martins. It shows that this
yeah,
market is so
yeah.
big, because
It's so
yeah.
big. Yeah, and we still have other types of racing, like rally
Mm-hmm,
and something like motocross, which are
mm-hmm,
done by the same brands, by the
mm-hmm,
same manufacturers.
mm-hmm,
We even have things like drifting.
mm-hmm,
We have all kinds of car racing,
mm-hmm,
and I think like you said, they found a niche, the niche in
Mhm.
the market. The people who just like to watch racing, the people who like racing,
Mhm.
and the people who want to make a living out of dealing with vehicles. The
Mhm.
same way someone can make a living being a lawyer or a doctor. There's
Mhm.
someone who can drive a car so well, so professionally well, that it's so entertaining to watch. It's even
Mhm.
very impressive.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, me, I think we can just leave it there.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
leave it there. So
yeah.
thank you guys for joining today. If you're new, please like and subscribe and share.
Mhm.
If you're joining again, please comment down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't. That's all, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you have any ideas also, you can talk to us
Yeah, please comment
on the
anything you
comments. There
want
are people
to.
who are talking to
Yeah,
us, yeah, and please
yeah,
engage us.
we really appreciate the guys who are engaging us.
Yeah,
It's really helping us a lot.
yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.